Imagine this. You're standing in a vast, echoing chamber. The walls aren't made of stone or metal, but of reflections, distorted, flattering, familiar. Every sound that bounces back to you is a faint echo of your own voice, your own thoughts, your own beliefs. The shadows dancing in the periphery mimic your own movements, amplifying your fears and validating your desires. Here, in this self-constructed sanctuary, everything resonates, everything confirms. There's a profound sense of comfort, of being understood, of finally being right. The air is thick with unspoken agreements, and dissenting whispers fade into an indistinguishable hum. You are the center, the sole arbiter of truth within these shimmering walls. Now, consider this unsettling paradox. What if the very comfort you feel is the most dangerous prison of all? What if the familiar echoes are not guiding you towards enlightenment, but deeper into a labyrinth of self-deception? What if the absence of friction, the lack of challenge, is slowly suffocating your capacity for growth, for truth, for genuine connection with a world far more complex and contradictory than the one reflected in your chamber? Think about the last time you truly wrestled with an idea that fundamentally opposed your own. Not just dismissed it, not just sought out counter-arguments to reaffirm your stance, but truly sat with it, felt its uncomfortable edges, and allowed it to question the very foundations of your understanding. Was it a conversation? Or a carefully curated selection of voices that already sang your tune? Was it an internal struggle, or a swift dismissal fueled by the ingrained need to protect your inner sanctum? We navigate a world brimming with information, yet we often find ourselves cocooned in curated realities. Algorithms learn our preferences with unnerving accuracy, feeding us a steady diet of confirmation. Social circles often solidify around shared viewpoints, creating bonds of belonging built on mutual agreement. Even our own minds possess a remarkable capacity for selective attention, filtering out dissonant information and amplifying what aligns with our pre-existing beliefs. But at what cost does this internal harmony come? What potential insights are lost in the static of unwavering agreement? What vital aspects of ourselves and the world remain unseen, shrouded in the comfortable shadows of our own making? Is it possible that the most profound truths, the keys to unlocking deeper understanding and meaningful change, lie precisely in those uncomfortable corners, those jarring discords that we so diligently avoid? The echo chamber of the self promises solace, but could it be delivering something far more sinister, a gilded cage built on the quicksand of unchallenged assumptions? What if the path to wisdom lies not in the amplification of our own voice, but in the courage to listen to the whispers that dare to contradict it? This self-imposed confinement, this echo chamber of the self, isn't merely a byproduct of social media algorithms or polarized politics. Its roots plunge far deeper, into the very bedrock of our psychology and the ancient philosophical dilemmas of human existence. At its core lies a profound, often unconscious, resistance to what Carl Jung termed the shadow. Not merely our personal flaws or suppressed desires, but anything that doesn't fit neatly into our carefully constructed ego identity. We curate an internal narrative, a self-image that we desperately cling to, and any information, any perspective, that threatens this narrative is instinctively repelled. It's a defense mechanism, a primal urge to maintain psychological coherence, even if that coherence is built on a fragile foundation of denial. Consider Arthur Schopenhauer's insights into the will to live, a blind, irrational force driving all existence. This will, in humans, manifest as a profound attachment to our perceptions, our beliefs, and our version of reality. To admit error, to acknowledge an uncomfortable truth, feels like a diminishment of this will, a chipping away at our very being. It's not just about being wrong, it's about the existential discomfort of having our internal world shaken. This aversion to disconfirmation is amplified by cognitive biases like confirmation bias, where we actively seek out information that supports our existing beliefs, and the backfire effect, where encountering contradictory evidence actually strengthens our original convictions. Our brains, in their efficiency, prefer shortcuts, and nothing is more efficient than sticking to what we already know. Friedrich Nietzsche, in his unflinching critique of human weakness, might argue that this echo chamber is a manifestation of our slave morality, a fear of the difficult, the challenging, the truly liberating. It's easier to live in a world of agreeable echoes than to confront the harsh, often chaotic, truths that demand discomfort and transformation. This isn't just about intellectual laziness, it's a deep-seated aversion to the suffering inherent in growth. Jean-Paul Sartre would highlight our radical freedom and the crushing responsibility that comes with it. To step outside the echo chamber is to confront the terrifying emptiness of unconditioned choice, the realization that our truths, are often self-chosen narratives rather than objective realities. It's easier to pretend our chains are comfortable, to believe our reflections are the world, than to face the dizzying expanse of genuine freedom and the potential for profound uncertainty. This deep-seated fear of the unknown, of the unvalidated, keeps us tethered to the familiar, no matter how limiting it may be. The discomfort of growth, the vulnerability of self-questioning, often feels far more threatening than the stifling security of our self-made intellectual prison. This isn't merely an abstract philosophical dilemma. The echo chamber of the self silently yet profoundly shapes our personal realities and the very fabric of society. On an individual level, it manifests as a crippling inability to adapt. When our internal models of the world are never challenged, we become brittle. Life, in its beautiful, messy unpredictability, inevitably presents situations that defy our pre-approved narratives. When these moments arrive, the person trapped in their echo chamber often crumbles, lashing out in anger, withdrawing in anxiety, or doubling down on delusional beliefs. Every encounter with a contradictory viewpoint becomes an existential threat, not an opportunity for growth. This is why some individuals seem perpetually stuck, repeating the same mistakes, unable to learn from experience, because their internal world is rigidly defended against the very feedback mechanisms essential for evolution. Neurologically, this behavior is reinforced by the brain's reward system. Confirmation feels good. It releases dopamine, creating a sense of certainty and coherence. Disagreement, on the other hand, can register as a threat, triggering a primal fight-or-flight response. Our brains are, in a sense, wired for cognitive ease, preferring the path of least resistance. This explains the insidious power of groupthink, where the desire for social cohesion overrides critical individual thought. Entire communities can become trapped in collective echo chambers, where shared delusions are celebrated as universal truths, and dissent is ostracized. This isn't just about political polarization. It permeates families, workplaces, and even personal relationships. How many unspoken resentments fester because one person refuses to consider a perspective outside their own rigid framework? How many innovations are stifled because challenging the status quo feels too risky, too threatening to the established order within a self-reinforcing system? The unseen consequence is a profound stagnation. Stagnation of ideas, of personal development, and ultimately of society itself. When we refuse to engage with discomforting truths, we forego the fertile ground of friction where new insights are born. We lose the capacity for empathy because empathy requires stepping outside our own subjective experience and truly attempting to understand another. We become brittle, fragile, and ultimately less human. The urgency of escaping this unseen trap isn't just about intellectual integrity. It's about reclaiming our capacity for genuine understanding, for authentic connection, and for the radical self-transformation that can only occur when we dare to listen to the whispers that challenge our most cherished beliefs. We are standing on the precipice of a profound realization. The very walls that offer us comfort are simultaneously blinding us to the vastness of reality and the possibility of a much richer, more meaningful existence. The rebellion against the echo chamber of the self begins not with a grand external battle, but with a radical internal shift. It demands an audacious willingness to challenge everything you thought you knew, starting with your own mind. This is not about acquiring more information. It's about fundamentally altering your relationship with information itself. The first, counterintuitive solution is to actively seek out disagreement. Not to argue, not to persuade, but to genuinely listen. Think of it as intellectual sparring, where the goal isn't to win, but to test the robustness of your own ideas against a different perspective. This is where the wisdom of philosophers like Socrates becomes profoundly relevant. True wisdom often lies in acknowledging the limits of our own knowledge, in recognizing how much we don't know. Embrace the Socratic method in your daily life. Ask why repeatedly, not just of others but of your own assumptions. Consider the mindset shift required. Move from seeing challenges to your beliefs as personal attacks to viewing them as invaluable gifts. Each time someone presents a contradictory viewpoint, they are offering you a chance to strengthen your own understanding, refine your arguments, or, most powerfully, discover a deeper truth. This is the essence of intellectual humility. It's the courage to say, I might be wrong. Historically, many profound breakthroughs, both scientific and philosophical, emerged from individuals who dared to question the prevailing orthodoxy. Think of Galileo challenging geocentric views, or Nietzsche's audacious re-evaluation of all values. They didn't conform to the echo chamber of their times. They shattered its walls, often at great personal cost. Practically, this rebellion involves cultivating specific habits. Actively follow voices online or in literature that articulate viewpoints diametrically opposed to your own. Engage with them not to refute but to comprehend. Practice empathic listening, where your goal is to understand the other person's perspective so thoroughly that you could articulate it back to them convincingly, even if you disagree with it. Learn to sit with cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable mental tension that arises when you hold conflicting ideas. Instead of immediately resolving it by dismissing one idea, allow the tension to exist. It is in this fertile ground of discomfort that new, more nuanced understandings often emerge. This is how you reclaim control, not by asserting your existing beliefs more forcefully, but by liberating yourself from the tyranny of needing to be right. It's a liberation into intellectual agility, into a fluid, adaptive way of thinking. You are no longer merely a reflection in your own chamber. You become a seeker, a curious explorer of the vast, contradictory landscape of reality. This shift empowers you to build a new way of thinking, one that is resilient, open, and perpetually evolving, ready to confront the ultimate truth that awaits beyond the comfortable echoes. The ultimate truth, the most powerful realization awaiting those who dare to shatter the echo chamber of the self, is this: reality is not what you think it is. Reality is what you encounter. It is not a fixed, objective entity waiting to be perfectly mirrored by your beliefs, but a dynamic, ever-unfolding phenomenon that reveals itself most fully when you are open to its disquieting, inconvenient truths. The paradigm shift is profound. Knowledge isn't about collecting confirmed facts within your existing framework. It's about actively seeking the edges of your understanding, the points of friction, the uncomfortable insights that force you to redraw your internal map. Your past struggles, the anxieties over being wrong, the fear of judgment, the stubborn insistence on your own narrative, suddenly become crystal clear. They weren't signs of weakness, but symptoms of being trapped in a self-imposed limitation. The discomfort you felt when confronted with a differing viewpoint was not an attack, but a necessary growing pain, a signal that your internal world was trying to expand beyond its current boundaries. This final insight frees you from the exhausting burden of constantly defending a fragile, limited self. You realize that true strength lies not in unwavering conviction, but in the radical humility to perpetually question, to learn, and to evolve. This realization doesn't lead to relativism or nihilism. It leads to a deeper, more robust engagement with reality. You understand that your perspective, however meticulously crafted, is just one lens, one facet of an infinitely complex jewel. The richness of existence is found in the interplay of these facets, in the grand, cacophonous symphony of diverse experiences and ideas. You become a participant in this symphony, rather than merely the conductor of your own echo. This is the path to genuine wisdom, to true self-transformation. It's not about finding a new, more comfortable echo chamber. It's about dissolving the walls altogether. It's about cultivating a mind that is fluid, resilient, and eternally curious, a mind that embraces the unknown and finds power in uncertainty. You are no longer merely reflecting the world. You are actively engaging with it, shaping it, and being shaped by its raw, unfiltered truth. So step out of the echoes. Seek the discord, embrace the challenge, and allow the vast, unsettling, beautiful truth of reality to redefine not just what you believe, but who you are. What unexpected truths are waiting for you, just beyond the comfort of your own reflections?